Hello and welcome to CBA's News Bulletin, broadcasting to you from Hargeisa. My name is Yunus Deko. These are some of our news headlines. The government of the Republic of Somaliland has been urged to finance technical schools in the country. Galmudug President rescinds the collaboration with the federal government of Somalia on reconciliations and elections. And the federal government of Somalia has revoked diplomatic passport of key Jubaland leaders. Welcome to the News Bulletin. The government of Somaliland has been urged to invest in technical institutions in the country. The only two technical institutions are in deplorable structural situation. The two were established through fundings from the Western German government in early 1960s under bilateral aid to the former Somalia. The two institutions produced top-notch technicians of high caliber, including former Assistant Minister of Finance Engineer Ahmed Hashi. Hashi is a former student of Bur'o Technical Institute. The engineer, who is now a member of the country's upper house, has urged the government to finance the two technical institutions to curb the high rate of unemployment in the country.
That's going to develop. I think technical aspect is very important because the development is based on technicalities, whether it's engineering or whether it's a vocational training. Particularly, Somaliland needs vocational training schools because there is a lot of higher institutions or universities that you can learn from technology, from engineering, but there's no basic actually. If you see the city and if you can see the buildings, if you can see it's that of finishing, the plumbing, the electricity, it's not yet developed. There's no official technical institutes that the government owns or manages, so that we urge the government to actually look into that. It's a very gap in that technical aspect of the vocational trainings of the country. There is a lot of gaps, so we urge the government to develop on that and focus that.
Since the construction of the two technical training institutes until 1980s, the Germans were in exclusive management of the institute and availability of all funds related to training materials, students' welfare, as well as selection and training of trainers. All that is left of the school now is few concrete walls and the floor cemented foundation. There is no fence or premises to protect the area from livestock or squatters, and it is at risk of being built by a private developer for housing. The machines and tools were looted, while the metal sheets were sold to foreign countries by looters in 1991. The government has been urged to partner with international NGOs and foreign countries to revive the institutions, if the annual budget for the Ministry of Education cannot be sufficient to fund the two training institutions.
The current government can get an assistance. They can manage also to make partnership with other foreign countries. But establishing by itself, I think when you see the current budget, it's going to be difficult. But at least the government should allocate some resources for that and then go to assistance or match funding for that. Always when you are fundraising, you have to have funding on the table first. But you cannot go and say, I don't have anything, you have to assist on that. But the best way that you can fundraise and get assistance is to have the blade something for you first, and then ask the rest of the other donors or the other donor countries. So we urge the government to actually allocate some resources for technical institutes or vocational training schools.
Early this year, the Somaliland government had partnered with the German Society for International Cooperation that will lead to the construction of modern vocational institute in the capital. It is not yet known if the German Society for International Cooperation is convinced with the proposals made by the government led by incumbent President Musa Bihi Abdi. Yunus Deko, CBA News, Hargeisa. Al-Shabaab militant group launched an attack on the American-run Balidol military base in Lower Shabelle region. Abdullahi Hassan with the details.
Two explosive cars drove into the fortification of the military base. Al-Shabaab in a statement said its elite suicidal brigade stormed the base and engaged the enemy in gunfight. Al-Shabaab officials claimed killing more than 100 soldiers in the base. An Al-Shabaab official speaking to affiliated radio station said that they have destroyed 5 military aircraft, including drones and helicopters. However, Somali officials refuted these claims and said that the Somali National Army repelled the attack in less than 10 minutes. So far, there is no independent confirmation of the results of the attack. The military base, some 90 kilometers northwest of Mogadishu, serves as a training camp for the Somali Special Forces. In Mogadishu, an Italian convoy traveling near Charles Siad military camp was attacked. Italy's defense ministry said in a statement that no injuries had been reported and that Rome was investigating the cause of the blast. These attacks came amid sustained military offensive in the lower Shabelle region as the Somali forces increased military activities targeting the group. The United States Embassy in Somalia has condemned the attacks in Mogadishu and Balidogle. In a statement, the embassy commended the Somali National Army for repelling the attack on Balidogle.
The president of Galmudug State of Somalia, Ahmed Duale Haf, has rescinded the mandate he granted the federal government of Somalia to manage the reconciliation and election of the region.
In a decree issued on Sunday, the Galmudug leader cited a lack of progress in the last 3 months. He also accused the federal government of unwillingness to resolve the grievances of Adada town and ending the dispute between the state and the influential Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah religious group. According to the decree, the president of the Galmudug state has therefore rescinded the mandate he granted to the Interior Ministry of the federal government. President Haf also summoned the cabinet to convene back in Galmudug at a date no later than October 10. The decree also called the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah group to participate in the building of an inclusive Galmudug state. President Ahmed Duale Haf has acceded the management of the election process to Mogadishu during the tour of Prime Minister Khaire to the region in June this year. The premier's tour was touted as the end of the vexed issue of Galmudug state building. The federal government leadership for the Galmudug state building process was also included in the communique of the Galmudug Reconciliation Conference, which concluded on 17 September. Some of the opposition parties has criticized this as an infringement on the state rights. President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo officially closed the conference in Dusamareb.
And now to Jubaland. The tug of war between the federal government of Somalia and Jubaland is far from over, as diplomatic passports of several leaders from the southern city have been withdrawn. Among those affected are Jubaland's planning minister Hirsi, who had arrived in Mogadishu to attend the 9th National Development Plan. The police had also accused another member of Jubaland's cabinet, Honorable Janan, of serious crimes and took him to custody shortly after arriving at Mogadishu airport from Dolo town early this month. The other is Madobe's right-hand man, Ado Koshe, a commissioner for the district of Garbahare in the Gedo region, whose passport was confiscated. The latest move comes against several oppressive moves by President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo, including cancelling of flights which have affected relief services. The recent Jubaland's contest has stoked tensions also between Kenya and Ethiopia, long-time allies who both have large contingents of peacekeepers in the country and see Jubaland as a buffer zone against the militant groups' attacks in their own countries. Kenya supported the victor, Ahmed Mohamed Islam Madobe, while Ethiopia has grown increasingly close to the federal government of Somalia in Mogadishu. Yunus Deko, CBA News. And now to Yemen, where Houthi Rebels on Sunday released video footage they said was a major attack into Saudi Arabia in August that killed nearly 200 soldiers, with around 2,000 of others surrendering. The spokesman claimed that more than 200 Saudi soldiers were killed in dozens of missiles and drone strikes while trying to escape or surrender. The fighting took place in Saudi Arabia's southern region of Narjan, bordering with northern Yemen. Saudi Arabia has not yet responded to the Houthis' claim. There were no independent media able to verify the footage or claims broadcasted on Houthis-run Al Masira TV. The Saudi spokesman, General Sareh, said the offensive took 72 hours against the 3 Saudi military brigades, leading to the capture of thousands of troops, including Saudi army officers, soldiers of different nationalities, and hundreds of armored vehicles. He said the prisoners will be treated according to the ethics and the customs on the basis of a deal to exchange Houthi prisoners in the Saudis' hands. The video showed armored vehicles, some ablaze with Saudi markings, along with large piles of weapons and ammunition the rebels say they seized. The images also appeared to show bodies and men in Saudi military uniforms. Several identified themselves as Saudis. Yemen government troops, supported by airstrikes of the Saudi-led coalition, have in recent months fought Houthi forces in Yemen's northern Sada province near the Saudi border. Local sources have said the Houthis have captured scores of Yemen troops in the battles. Iran's foreign minister has urged Saudi Arabia to accept security cannot be bought, saying an end to the war in Yemen will quell regional tensions. The US-based ACLED, a non-profit conflict research organization, estimates that the war has claimed more than 91,000 lives over the past 5 years. The war has also taken a heavy toll on the country's infrastructure, destroying hospitals, schools, and factories. The United Nations also says that over 24 million Yemenis are in dire need of humanitarian aid, including 10 million suffering from extreme levels of hunger. Eunice Deco, CBA News.